Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Incontrovertible proof that your tax dollars are paying for abortion. I'm Matt Barber, Director of Cultural Affairs with Liberty Counsel and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law, in for Matt Staver today. And joining me once again in studio is Sean Akers, Dean of Liberty University's Helms School of Government and Policy Analyst with Liberty Counsel. Well, Sean, reading from a Washington Times article titled Planned Parenthood's Missing Millions, a new report from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, the GAO, on federal tax money funneled into Planned Parenthood and similar organizations, pro-abortion organizations, raises more questions than it answers about the nation's largest abortion chain, Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Their audits show that the organization spent just $657 million between 2002 and 2008 from federal government grants and programs. But this abortion behemoth's own annual reports show that it took in $2.3 billion from government grants and programs during the same period of time. Now, that begs the question, Sean, where are the missing hundreds of millions of dollars that have been funneled into this abortion behemoth, this abortion Goliath, Planned Parenthood? And many of us have been calling for the defunding of Planned Parenthood, and I think this is an exclamation mark on that call to say, look, they can't even account for hundreds of millions of missing dollars, yet we and yet they claim that none of this funding is going to fund abortion. To say it raises an eyebrow is an understatement.
Well, Matt, even if we cut them the benefit of the doubt and said that it's not going to abortion, if you've ever gone through Planned Parenthood and Planned Parenthood International's websites to find out the kind of print materials that they provide to first internationally, they float these things out internationally kind of as a test and as a buffer, and before they release them in the United States, and then you find out that they wind up making their way into the hands of the Girl Scouts and that kind of thing. Even if they weren't funding abortion, quite frankly, they're a patently offensive group that we shouldn't be funding in any respect. But you add on to that they can't seem to keep up with where the money that they're given goes, and you've got some real problems.
Well, Sean, for Planned Parenthood to say that they're not using any of these government taxpayer funds, now this is you and I, and people listening right now who I will say I hate Planned Parenthood because they facilitate abortion, homicide, hundreds a day across the country. Now, for them to say that they're getting these hundreds of billions or millions of dollars in federal funding and that those dollars aren't being used to fund abortion is ridiculous. They say, we have our educational program over here, and all of that money is earmarked for our educational program. But then we go and we raise money, independent, private donors, and we raise money in order to fund our abortion services, if you would want to call them that. Well, that's like, imagine your family saying, well, my income, I get money from my job and I put it over here in my checking account, yet I have another job where I go out and I put money in my savings account, and neither the twain shall meet. Well, Sean, obviously, by virtue of the fact that Planned Parenthood is freed up and has funding, taxpayer funding, in order to pay for their educational services, that makes it easier for them. They can focus their attention solely on fundraising, so that makes it easy for them to bring in money. So to say that there's not at least an indirect commingling of funds is disingenuous, to say the least.
That's absolutely right, and every listener that we have has the common sense to know, Matt, that if you and I have a disagreement that you should be eating tofu and you should not be eating candy bars, they both cost $5. If I tell you I'm not going to pay for your candy bar, but I'll pay for your tofu, I just freed up your other $5 to buy the candy bar.
Right.
And that's basically what goes on here. I hate to use a religious reference, but when public funding is provided, you make robbing Peter to pay Paul a very, very easy accounting trick. And when you do that, whether you meant to or not, the fact of the matter is they are able to perform more abortions with federal funding, with our tax dollars, than they would be without our tax dollars.
Well, boy, I tell you, Planned Parenthood, they have cornered the market. They really do have quite a racket going on there. Imagine that the conflict of interest here is palpable. Imagine that you have your education wing of your so-called, nonprofit organization here that is training children to engage in safe sex through this notion of comprehensive sex education. As long as it's safe sex, as long as you always use a condom and so forth, and providing birth control, but yet